Welcome to Filipino Idol Cooking Time. Kung bago lang sa channel, huwag kalimutan mag-subscribe and hit the bell para laging update sa aking video. Welcome to Bread and Pastry Production. Shout out to my students, Agoho, Santol, Alibangbang, and Akasha of Louis Y. Ferrer Jr. Senior High School. Cookies. Cookies are always popular. There are really little cakes, flat, sweet, and small. They can be made in a variety of shapes and flavors, and can be served in just as many different ways. A cookie is a baked or cooked food that is typically small, flat, and sweet. This usually contains flour, sugar, and some types of oil or fat. It may include other ingredients such as raisins, oats, chocolate, chips, and nuts. Here are the characteristics: crispiness, moistness or softness, chewiness, and spread. Crispness or crispiness. Cookies are crisp if they are low in moistures. Number 1. Low proportions in the mix. Most crisp cookies are made soft or stiff dough. 2. High sugar and fat content. 3. Baking long enough to evaporate most of the moistures. 4. Small size of thin shape so that cookies dry faster during baking. 5. Proper storage. Crisp cookies can become soft if they absorb moistures. Softness. 1. High proportions of the liquid in the mix. 2. Low sugar and fat. 3. Honey, molasses, or corn syrup included in the formulas. 4. Under baking. 5. Large size or thick shape so they will retain more moisture. 6. Proper storage. Soft cookies can become stale and dry if not tightly covered and wrapped. Chewiness. High sugar and liquid content but low fat content. 2. High proportions of eggs. 3. Strong flour and gluten developed during mix. Spread. High sugar content increases spread. 2. High baking soda or baking ammonia content encourages spread. 3. The creaming together of fat and sugar contributes. 4. Low oven temperatures increase spread. High temperature decreases spread. 5. A slack butter. That is one with a high liquid content spreads more than a stiff dough. 6. Strong flour or activations of a gluten decreases spread. 7. Cookie spreads are more if baked on heavily greased pans. Kinds of cookies: drop cookies, rolled cookies, pressed or bagged cookies, cookie bar, refrigerated cookies, ice box, bar, sheet, and steel cookies. For the drop cookies are irregular and unevenly shaped. They are made simply by dropping the cookies butter from a teaspoon to a baking sheet to get the popular tongue-shaped cookie. Rolled cookies are made from dough which had been rolled out and cut with cutter to form shapes that fit special occasions such as Christmas, Valentine's Day, and Easter. Cookies rolled and cut from stiff dough are not made as often in the bake shop and food service operations as they are made in home because they require excessive labor. Press or bagged cookies are made with more butter, which makes the finished product richer in taste than the other types of cookies. They are made of pressing and mixtures out cookies presser or a pastry tube onto the baking sheet, and at the same time forming into a varied shape like ring or ribbon. It can be made from soft dough. The dough must be soft enough to force through the pastry bag but stiff enough to hold its shape. Let's go now for the cookie bar. This type of cookie is cut into bars after baking. They are usually small and square in shape. This produce is called the bar method because the dough is baked in a long narrow strips and later cut crosswise into bars. Refrigerated cookies. This type of cookies is frozen and cut into dessert shape before baking. Molded cookies. Each piece is then molded into desired shape. Traditionally, cookies special molds are used to flatten the dough. Icebox cookies. The icebox or refrigerator method is ideal for operations that wish to have freshly baked cookies on hand at all times. The rule of dough may be made up in advance and stored. Sheet cookies. Some of them are almost like sheet cakes, only denser and richer. They may be even iced like sheet cake. Stencil cookies. The stencil method is a specialized technique used when a particular type of soft dough or batter. Cookie baking tips. Fully preheated oven and bake cookies at the correct temperature. Hold cookies as the recipe says on the baking sheets, then a wire cooling rack. Cookie baking tips. Don't overbake. Cookies will be continued to bake on the baking sheets after they rolled in from the oven. Cookie folds and their causes. Too tough. Too crumbly. What are the causes? Flour too strong, too much flour, not enough shortening, incorrect amount of sugar, mix too long or improper mixing, for too crumbly, improper mixing, too much sugar, too much shortening, too much leavening, not enough eggs. Too hard for the cookies. What are the causes? It can bake too long or baking temperature too low, too much flour, flour too strong, not enough shortening, not enough liquid. For the too dry, the causes, not enough liquid, not enough shortening, bake too long or baking temperatures too low, and too much flour. Another fault we have the not browned enough. The causes, baking temperature too low, underbake, not enough sugar. Too brown, baking temperature is too high, bake too long, and too much sugar. For poor flavor, we have poor ingredients, ingredients, left out, dirty baking pans. Ingredients improperly measured. Another faults we have the surface or crust sugary, improper mixing, too much sugar, and then the faults for too much spread, baking temperature too low, not enough flour, too much sugar, too much leavening, too much liquid, pan greens too much. Not enough spread. What are the causes? Baking temperature too high, too much flour or flour too strong, not enough sugar, not enough leavening, not enough liquid, insufficient pan grease. Stick to pans, pans improperly greased, and too much sugar. We have here the mixing techniques. Mixing method greatly affects flour mixtures and its resulting product. Various techniques have been developed for efficiency and convenience. Some of them are as follows. We have here the creaming. Rubbing one or two ingredients in a bowl with the help of the wooden spoon or electric mixer to make the soft floppy mixtures. The cream mixtures should have both smooth and grainy particles. Cutting in. Mixing fat and flour with the use of pasta blender or two knives in a scissors-like manner. This method cuts into small pieces, coating them with flour to form coarse, granular mixture for pastries and biscuits. Cut and fold. A combination of two motions, cutting vertically through the mixtures and turning over and over by gliding the spoon or rubber scraper across the bottom the mixing bowl at each turn. Beating. It is done to incorporate air in a mixture by mechanical agitations. It could be done with the aid of special gadgets like wire whips, egg beaters, and electric food mixers, or with a fork. Stirring. It is often done with a wooden spoon, rotating it through a mixture as long as necessary, usually until the ingredients are combined. Whipping. It is a process of beating eggs and cream to fill them with air and make them thick and fluffy. Sifting. It is the process of separating coarse particles and ingredients by passing through a sieve. Air is incorporated through this method. Muffin. Muffins are simple cup bread leavened and considered a member of the quick bread family. A variety of quick loaf breads and coffee cakes can be derived from the basic muffin recipe. What are the characteristics of the muffin or the quick breads? For their shape, uniform, well-rounded top, free from peaks and no cracks. Size, uniform, large in proportions to weight. Color, uniform and golden brown. For their crust, tender, pebbled, and slightly rough shiny. Inside characteristics of muffin and quick breads, we have the color creamy white or slightly yellow, free from streaks. Grain, round even cells, free from tunnels. The textures, tender, moist and light. Their flavor, pleasing, well blended with no bitterness. This will be the good muffin. And we have also the mad muffin. Remember the characteristics of the muffin: rounded bumpy top, no peaks, golden brown, no tunnels, and tender texture. How we are going to test the muffin or donuts test. Color must be golden brown. Pull slightly away from side of a pan. Toothpick test. Lightly touch at the center, it should be bounced back. Let's go now for the biscuits. Biscuits are small flaky quick bread. They are leavened with fast-acting leaveners, which make preparations time shorter than any yeast leavened bread. Here are some 2 ways to make biscuits. We have using the solid fats. Solid fats are cut into the flour with a fork, a pair of knives or a pastry blender until it coats from the flour and is fairly crumbly and mealy. Liquid is added to mix a soft. And then the mixture is rapidly but lightly kneaded to evenly distributed the mixtures and sufficiently develop the gluten for flaky products. Number 2 is we have the using liquid shortening or wet to dry method. Liquid shortening or oil is added to the liquid ingredients and mixed with the drying ingredients to make soft dough. It is kneaded rapidly but lightly and treated like the solid fat dough. The characteristics of outside of the biscuits is the shape, uniform, straight sides and level tops and rolled biscuits. The size uniform twice the size and unbaked biscuits. The color uniform, golden brown top and bottom, sides lighter, free from yellow and brown. The crust tender, moderately smooth, free from excess flour. Here are the inside characteristics of the biscuits. Color, creamy white, free from the yellow and brown spots. The grain, flaky, pulling off thin sheets, medium fine, even cells. The textures, tender, slightly moist, light. The flavor, pleasing, well blended with no bitterness. Note: draft biscuits will be nicely rounded with rough and crispier crust. They will not be as flaky. So that's all for today, guys. Thank you for watching Filipino Icor Cooking Time. Huwag kalimutan mag-subscribe sa aking channel and hit the bell. Maraming salamat!